when I was a kid, well, even up to like 10 years ago, a big pack of wolves was kind of 6 to 8 wolves. And even then, like, that's a pretty healthy pack. They don't have to kill a lot to feed everyone. They're not they're not overpopulated, so there's no diseases running through them and things like that. But now, if you ran into a pack of 6 wolves, it's almost strange. It's almost like, where's the rest? Because now, typically, if you run into a pack of wolves, there's at least 10 or more. I used to work over in the Graham and Halfway River area, and over there's a pack where there's got to be 20, maybe 25 wolves in that pack. And it's, man, that is huge. That is just bad. Like, that is as bad as it gets. And especially because wolves, no matter what you read, a lot of the times they just kind of fill your head with a bunch of bullshit, really. Because wolves, they don't just kill the old and the weak, and they don't just hunt something down when they're hungry. I've always said a wolf, it's kind of, you almost have to compare it to like a UFC fighter kind of thing. You know, a guy in the UFC, he doesn't sit on his couch and wait for his agent to call and say, hey, be ready in 3 or 4 days, you have a fight in Vegas. You know, as soon as he's done one fight, as soon as he's back home, he's back in the gym, he's training, he's sparring, he is making sure that when it comes time to fight, when it's actually worth his time, worth his while, that he needs to be as close to perfect as he can get. And that's what wolves do too. You know, when it's time to eat, they don't want to be screwing up. When they're hungry, they don't want to mess up and not get their supper, right? So a lot of times, wolves, they'll do like practice killing, basically. They get their pack together, they see a moose or a deer or whatever walking down a road or a trail, and they just want to kind of pretty well dial in their skills on how to kill it quickly and efficiently. So in that way, when it is time for them to eat, they go, well, let's just do what we trained here. And they just go in and kill, and they get their food. But in the meantime, you know, they've probably killed 5 or 6 moose that they left. It'd be all right for the weasels, marten, and coyotes, you know, the scavengers and ravens and crows and whatever else. But that misconception that wolves only kill the sick and the weak is the furthest from the truth. And then what ends up happening too is, while they're doing all this practice killing, they kind of run out of things to kill to eat. And I've seen it even in areas around my place where wolves, they'll start going after rabbits. And if you kind of have half a brain, it doesn't take long to figure out that the amount of energy that they spend to kill that rabbit compared to the amount of energy that they get out of eating it automatically puts them into a negative. And with wolves, like, you know, they don't have predators that really go after them. The only thing that really kills wolves or other wolves, humans, starvation, or disease. And diseases is like mange, where their hair falls off and they slowly freeze to death in the winter. And there's a lot of public people and animal rights that they start saying, well, you know, you should just let nature take its toll. But whoever says that has absolutely no respect whatsoever for animals, and they have no clue what actually happens in the real world. Because I've seen what happens when nature takes its toll. It is the slowest, most painfulest death. I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy. You know, whether it's starvation, a wolf with mange, something that got kind of hit by a car and it's broke its back. And one thing with a pack of wolves is, if one is injured, they don't, it's not what they tell you in magazines or whatever. If there's one that's injured, they leave them. You know what? You're weak. You can't keep up. Too bad for you. And they will just walk away from it, or they'll sit there and they'll chew it up. They'll rip him apart until he slowly bleeds to death or whatever, right? And it is a very slow and painful death. So when they say, oh, you shouldn't trap them, you shouldn't hunt them, those people are just, they got their head so far up their ass, they don't know anything what they're talking about. Getting shot or getting trapped is by far one of the absolute best ways to die in the bush. Lots of people, they don't want to hear that because they don't want to face the truth. But really, if I snare a wolf, that cable goes underneath their jaw, or it kind of hits their chest, it slides up, connects to their jaw, and when you're setting it properly, it runs up their jawbone, gets between their ears, and when it tightens up, it blocks the carotid artery, which is your main artery that goes up both sides of your neck. It cuts off the blood supply to the brain. They're knocked out within 10 minutes. They're dead within 2 minutes. They don't feel a thing. When I shot wolves there with the 7mm or the 300, hell, I think I smacked one with the 17 HMR ones too. It's lights out. You pull the trigger and he went, bruh. That was it. Just flattened him like a pancake. Could you imagine dying that way? Close your eyes, blink. Right? No pain, no suffering, nothing. Now imagine being buck-ass naked, running around when it's minus 30, kind of like a wolf is, with mange, no fur. Now walk around and trying to survive, fight for your life for about a week or two, and just trying to stay alive. I'd much rather get shot.